No official announcement from Manchester United channels about the appointment of Ralf Rangnick. I mean, we can presume perhaps that this might be Michael Carrick's last match in charge, Alex. But when you look at the transition for Manchester United to Rangnick now, again, no official announcement, but we're presuming it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Who do you think will benefit the most out of that appointment in terms of players?
I think the club will obviously, a new manager always brings a lift, but I have to say I think Michael Carrick deserves a huge amount of credit. I think when you lose a manager of the status that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer carried at Manchester United, a club legend, someone who was well liked by the coaching staff, by the players, when he loses his job, it's very difficult to turn them players around. And I think Michael Carrick's done that very, very well this week. To go to Villarreal and win a game, like I say, in the Champions League, go to Stamford Bridge and get something. And the level of performance is compared to what we've seen at Watford, against Liverpool, against Manchester City, to name a few. The players were on their knees. The confidence was all over the place. They weren't playing well at all. And I think Michael and the staff involved since Ollie's left have definitely had a reaction this week. And I think if Rangnick comes in this week, you'll obviously look at them two games and think there's a lot of positives to build on compared to what was happening a couple of weeks ago. So, as I say, I think Carrick deserves a lot of credit. I think the players today did very well. I think there was obviously things that he could improve on, certainly in possession, creating more chances. But in terms of work rate and digging in for one another and getting something out of the games, I think they can't be faulted. And as I say, I think there's definitely a few positives for whoever's in charge next week to build on.
Well,
and they've got some very winnable games coming up as well. So it's a good chance for the new manager to come in.
I think they face Arsenal next, don't they? If I'm not mistaken.
They've got Arsenal next, but then when you look at the next 6 or 7 fixtures, they've got some very, very winnable games. Yeah. So I'm sure that the new manager is going to look at it and think it's a good time to take over.
Yeah, to get something out of it as well. But you must be pretty proud of Michael Carrick, Rennie. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw this coaching side of him, if you always watched him and think, oh, he's going to be a coach one day.
No, it's an interesting question. No, I rate Michael very highly, and I rated him as a player tremendously. He's never really always got the plaudits I think he deserved, because we always felt that he was the one that sort of was that steady catalyst to give us that base in midfield. He was so good on the ball, calm, collective. You know, he knew exactly how to do it, and that's how he is as a person. And I think that is also how he portrays himself as an interim manager. I think he has represented himself personally really, really well in the media. I think he's spoken really well throughoutly. He's somebody that doesn't get carried away. He's calm, collected, and that's the approach he's had 100% sure to the squad. You know, a calm approach, but very clear, concise. This is what we're going to do. These are the reasons why. And this is how we expect to get a result. And that's what he did against Villarreal. He expected more. I think every manager, you know, there's not one manager that's going to be out in the camera and is going to be very negative about his own squad and his own players. You know, it's simple as that. You want to take the positives out of it. But he highlighted the fact that, yes, we need to be better on the ball. And he knows that because he played in a team that was very good in the ball, that kept the ball with authority and, you know, and craved out chances and all this. But like I said, there's this uncertainty again with Manchester United. They need to clear things up quickly to move on quickly. I expect Michael to be part of the backroom staff. And if that's the case with Rangnick, he will learn a lot. And it will even put him in better stat in the future. But I think he's got a taste of it now, and I think he will get more of it in the future.
Right, so when Rangnick comes in then, Jody, who can you see benefiting the most in terms of players? I'm thinking at the top of my head, maybe the likes of Jadon Sancho, who's a little bit more used to the kind of system that Rangnick uses, maybe even Cavani as well, maybe even Fred or Donny van der Beek.
Yeah, well, I think, listen, if he is going to follow his philosophy, which it kind of seems like he would do, I think everybody will benefit. Obviously, you want to, if you're going to be getting after the ball, you want to be difficult to break down and you're going to be a pressing team. You also want to be able to do that high up the pitch. But at the same time, it will affect everybody. It will affect the defenders. And I agree with René. I think it will affect the coaches as well. I mean, Michael Carrick was on my pro licence and I think he knows the game inside out. I think he's a he was a talented player, a quality player, and I think he's a quality coach. So even from that aspect, you're going, if Mr. Rangnick's going to come in and he's going to be able to put across his ideas, it won't just be the players that are learning there. It will be the coaching staff as well, because I think we all agree here, anyone involved in football, I don't think you'll ever stop learning. And if you're a student of the game like Michael Carrick is, and like I like to think of myself as, I think you'll always be learning. And whenever you've got an opportunity to listen or see a different way of working, or even implement your own ideas amongst somebody else's, that's difficult as well. Sometimes being able to integrate your own little tweaks and your own little ideas amongst the manager is a challenge as well. So I think it's good news for everybody at Man United, and I know Alex touched on it in pre-game, but going forward, whoever the manager is, there could be a hell of an influence over the next couple of years, but it won't happen overnight. It won't happen overnight.
Do you have an idea, perhaps, then, Alex, on what a Manchester United under Ralf Rangnick might look like?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I think when you hear about people who've worked with him, Thomas Tuchel, Jurgen Klopp, they speak very highly of him. So for a Manchester United fan, as a player, one of us is staff, they've got a lot to look forward to, because he's obviously going to bring in new ideas, and they're all going to learn from him. I think Manchester United needs a lot of work doing, not just on the pitch but off it as well. So I think I think the bigger picture is what he's going to bring in the complete package to Manchester United, and I think that needs sorting out for them to bridge that gap between where they are currently and competing with the likes of Chelsea's, Man City's, and Liverpool's again. I think there's a lot of work to be done, and obviously he's an experienced guy. He's going to carry a lot of qualities, so it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses. But as I say, it's a big job. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And people like Michael Carrick, Darren Fletcher, they're still relatively inexperienced in the jobs as well. So they'll learn from somebody like him, and it can only be good for the future moving forward.
One thing that might change, though, is Manchester United's relationship with Mino Raiola. We know they don't get along very well. Ole himself don't get along with Mino very well, but Ralf Rangnick does, actually. Does that mean, because of that good relationship, that a deal with Erling Haaland might be a better prospect, Rennie?
Well,
I know it's a big call here. I'm just trying to think of a different way to approach.
It is, but it is definitely not a silly thing to bring up, Michelle. It's, I think, a very good thing, because football is about relationships, and we all know that Erling Haaland is, tremendous talent with an unbelievable goal-scoring record. He's young, he's direct, he's quick, he's strong, and basically, I think a lot of Manchester United fans, maybe Alex included, I expected actually him to be at Manchester United already, because of the relationship he had with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, working with him with Mulder, so they knew each other, and for whatever reason that hasn't materialised. But it is important that you have got good relationships. Everybody's fighting their own corner. Raiola does the same for him and his clients, and so should the club. But maybe Rangnick can bring something to the table, and maybe bring somebody like Haaland to Manchester United, which I think would be a big scoop.
Imagine that, Alex. Erling Haaland in a Manchester United shirt. I think his dad would go mad.
I think his dad might, obviously with the Leeds United connection. But listen, he's a world-class centre forward, and Manchester United definitely needs someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously Ronaldo that is there at the moment, but he's getting on a little bit, and to get someone like Haaland will be massive. But I think the Paul Pogba situation needs sorting out as well, and whether they can sort something out in that area with obviously Mino's relationship with the new manager, Mr. Rajit, going in. We'll have to wait and see and watch this space. But these are all little things that need sorting out for the benefit of the club moving forward.
Jody, what do you think? What's the likelihood of Erling Haaland moving to Manchester United now?
Well, I think they'll face stiff competition from the best clubs in the world. It's not always sometimes the one that looks like the perfect fit that gets it over the line. I mean, I think they'll face competition from your Man Cities. I think Chelsea would be involved. Well, I know Chelsea was interested in him previously. So
how far did that conversation go? That interest?
Well, I know he was speaking to Frank. I know that when Frank was the manager of Chelsea. So listen, I think he's he's a boy that knows he's in demand. He won't rush any decision, and he hasn't so far. And I think the position he's in is a strong one. But like I said, I think there'll be maybe 7 or 8 of the biggest clubs in the world all after him, and it will take something special to get it over the line, I think.
No matter which club he's going to go to, is it almost inevitable that he will end up in the Premier League sooner rather than later, maybe as soon as next season, Jody?
I mean, I'm not sure. Listen, I think obviously there's certain things going on in Spain at the minute with the top clubs over there, so they might be facing a little bit of difficulties, and maybe the Italian teams haven't quite got the finances of the Premier League teams, but you just never know. I'm sure Paris will be involved at some point, especially if Mbappe is going to be leaving as well. So, as I said, I think it's one of those at the minute where I think he had options before he joined Dortmund. Well, I know he had options before he joined Dortmund, and he made a decision that was the best that he thought for his career. And at the moment, it looks like a really good one because he's in a fantastic position, and there will be no shortages of decent contracts and top clubs that are after him.